And we are live. So, hi everybody. I'm really sorry that we are 20 minutes in. My laptop actually in modern day times flipped over and then I had to restart everything. But I have my beautiful guests here who I'm so happy and so excited to introduce. And before we even introduce them, I have to do my intro. My intro proudly produced and curated by the one, the only. Uh, Kenny Allen, based from DC all the way via to Ethiopia. He created this beautiful, beautiful opening for me. So I just want to play it. Let's go. Into the core.
Get into it.
All good things in Africa. All good things in Africa and beyond. Into the core. Into the core. Into all good things in Africa and beyond. And we're back. So, the amazing and talented Kenny Allen, who I actually had a podcast with this past Wednesday, did this beautiful intro for me. So, thank you so much. Ato Kenny Allen, thank you so much. I have two amazing women. I call them the leading ladies of Africa. And I want to say that Mahalet and I were probably inspired a lot by the lady who I'm going to introduce first, Mahalet. No disrespect to you, but we're going to pay homage to the lady herself, the director, curator, the amazing Lucila from South Africa Fashion Week. And you know what? The reason why I didn't say your last name is because I really wanted you to say your last name before I butcher it, because I am known to butcher names. So, Lucila, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Linda. And thank you, Marlet. Very, very amazing to be on this with you and moving forward with you. I think it is so needed in South Africa. And yes, I am Lucilla Boysen and I am based in Johannesburg and very feel very honored being part of this. So thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. And then I must Boysen, and so I must now introduce my the reason why I got into fashion and the person who instigated and ignited my fashion passion was Mahalet Tekle Mariam. So who's sitting right there. She is absolutely phenomenal. She is the founder of the Hub of Africa Fashion Week. We founded it both together. I was a co-founder, and it's such a privilege that we started it together, and you have taken it to the heights that is really required within the fashion industry. And I'm so proud to have you both on this platform of Into the Core.
Thank you,
Thank
Linda.
you. Thank you.
All right, so ladies, we have had such a fascinating year in terms of what we've been doing and where we're going in terms of fashion. And what a year God threw at us. And like I keep telling people, we got the slap and then he backhanded us again. And we're still going through it. And what we need to recognize is that in in our industry, there's a lot that has changed. There's many people who are not sure what is happening because now it becomes about essential services. So let me start, Mahalit, if I may. Let me start with Lucila, and let us talk about, because you just did your South Africa Fashion Week, which was
Yes.
excellent. We saw our amazing co-partner who helped us all through our first Hub of Africa Fashion Week, Sheldon Copeman.
Yes, incredible.
Talk to us about what this new experience was like for you.
Yeah,
In
thank
terms
you.
of, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So what happened is we already decided in April that we will have to do something to help the designers bridge the COVID sort of um, gap that was created. So we were very, very fortunate to get a small sponsorship from the Mall of Africa and from Vodacom Red, sort of almost at the last minute. And we put a collection together. We showed 26 designers and we shot their collections in isolation at the Mall of Africa in the mall. So it cut our costs down completely. We used groups of models, and it was incredible because the designers had to do 10, 10 garments with 10 looks. And if you look on our website, you will find that the designers had um, really showed this incredible sort of honesty and really speaking from their hearts with their collections. A whole new sincerity came through and beautiful collections. So we actually managed to stretch the 4 days that we had in the past to 3 months because we did the Save the Date in August, and then every 2 weeks we had an activity on all our digital platforms. And I really think that that is the future of fashion. We sent our collections to international channels, and there's, for instance, an international channel called the Fashion Channel, that is an Italian-based channel, and we had 22,000 views on this channel. So we created the same amount of publicity than what we would have if we just had our 4 days. And what was incredible is that the focus was on fashion and the focus was on the designers and not the people that wanted to come to the fashion week and create a platform for themselves. So we really went back to the roots. We went back to, and I don't know if you know, but years ago, when only the big four fashion weeks existed, you could not get in. It was 250 people sitting in front rows and nobody could get in. And that was, for me, incredible that the people and the people that viewed it really cared about the designer collections because that, after all, is what everything is all about. So we generated the same amount of publicity. We had the same amount of people buying tickets. So previously we would sell tickets and we had actually 2,400 people more. So it shows us that our consumers are open to the digital world and to actually they don't feel that they have to sit in the front rows because they're sitting in the front rows in their lounges or they're experiencing the fashion much closer and they don't have to worry about who's sitting in front of them or who they're sitting next to or who on earth is sitting in the front row and who is taking a picture of them. They can actually just sit back and enjoy the creativity and the designs of the designers. And that is why we do fashion weeks after all.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's amazing that there was so many people who were locked in and
Yeah,
who got to experience and support,
exactly.
the fashion week because a lot of the times, fashion weeks are usually put into a space where not everybody can experience it. But I really love that, yes, that people were able to be a part of the platform, to support, to see and really feel like they were part of the storyline. Mahilet, is it possible you could talk to me? You know, you're celebrating 10 years, of course, and what those 10 years have been like, as well as where you are right now, you know, because I know the hub usually happens around October. And you know what that experience, I feel like between the both of you, you have gone in a different direction. And even for me with the Core Fashion Kenya, I decided to go a whole different direction, but here we are, we're talking. And these are some of the platforms that are necessary in terms of highlighting and focusing on fashion. So Mahala, if you could please just, yeah, tell me about your 10 years and tell me what you did this year. Yeah.
Um, Thanks, Linda. So it's been an amazing 10 years. I mean, we co-organized it till 2014 with you. So the journey has been amazing. Since we started in 2010, I see the growth within the industry. There are a lot more new designers, more creativity. So I never thought that when we started this 10 years ago, where would be headed, to see where it is now. I'm actually happy. At least I'm also a diaspora, so coming back home 12 years ago, I really didn't understand the fashion scene or the fashion industry in Africa because I lived abroad. It's a different scene. I grew up in New York, and that was the whole idea came about is when we spoke, when I came up with the idea with you, I'm familiar with all the fashion weeks in New York, Paris, London, Milan. So, but then in Africa, I didn't know any at the time. So when the idea came up, I'm passionate about the industry, promoting it. I did that in a small scale in the US, promoting Ethiopian American designers there. So when we came up with the idea, I really didn't know where it would be headed, but it was just an idea. So it's been amazing. Like I said, I've seen the growth of the designers themselves from when they started. And like you said, looking back, 10 years, we've been posting on our social media, just a reflection series. So for what you asked me, what are we doing this year? Unfortunately, I love what Expo Fashion Week did with the digital and the more viewership, and cost-wise, it was less, definitely. Unfortunately, we didn't think of any digital platform for us this year for many reasons. We didn't think that designers would be ready, but most of them actually.
Sorry, Mahalet, we lost you for a brief second. I feel like the network.
I'm back on. Was that me
There
that
you are.
dropped?
Yes, you got dropped, and I dropped you to bring you back in.
Okay, right back in. So, yeah, so for this year, we really wanted to focus again, re-strategize of how we do things. So unfortunately, we haven't done anything except just a.
Uh-oh, Lucila. She just got dropped again. Let's try and do this again. Mahalet,
What to do?
I know it
I'm back
really
in, but I don't see you guys.
you
There you
we can
are.
hear you. There you are. I feel like they're watching us.
They are.
They're watching us, but we're a $1 trillion industry, so they should be watching us. Um, can you tell me about how you're appreciating the industry? I mean, like if we could cut it to, or she's just exited. Okay, so we're gonna wait for her to join back. And Lucila, you're still with me? You can still hear me.
Yes. So
Fine.
in the meantime, I can just say that, I really take my hat off for Milet because I also reached the 10-year milestone, and it's fantastic just to actually be there for 10 years. To sort of hang in there is a great achievement. So well done, Male.
Thank you, Lucilla. So there you have it. This is why we didn't do digital. You know? Yeah, we cannot interrupt. You never know with the internet connection unless I go to somewhere, government office or embassies where they have amazing network, or the hotels. Yeah, it's unpredictable for us, unfortunately. So yeah, this is where we're at for now. Sorry, Linda.
Anchi, it's okay because, like Lucila said, well done to hang in there, to stick
Thank you.
strong, to
Thank you.
and to power on. We know that the fashion industry is not, it's not all glitz and glamour. We go through our fair share of trials and tribulations, if I were to put it in any way. And I really want to say a huge hello to our Nigerian network. I was hoping that Omiemi would have joined us today, but unfortunately not so. So we're sending love to West Africa because we've got like the East definitely. We're here, and of course South Africa. And you've always been, Lucilla. You know what? Because I do this live and I really try and make it as honest and as personal as possible. You gave us a run for your money because we were like, when Mahalet was like, yeah, let's do a fashion week, I was like, yeah, but everybody recognizes South Africa. Why can't we be as great as South Africa? But so that in its own self speaks what you have done for a very beautiful industry. You have continued to mold and continued to challenge the fashion industry. So my question to you is, how did you do it? And how did you start? And where did that journey begin? Because I know it started in 1997.
Yes. So, my journey comes a very long way. I went overseas in, I think, 1986. And I realized that we will not have a fashion industry in South Africa if we do not have designers, if we do not change the whole model into a designer-led fashion week. And I then slowly started building the young designers. So I am essentially a show producer. I'm a school teacher. I used to be a school teacher. But I then started, there's a huge noise. I think it's somebody that is drilling. Can you just mute your...
Yeah, hold up. Let me mute my side. Let me mute my side.
Yeah. There you go. Fantastic. Okay, so then I started building the young designers. And in 1997, I literally woke up one morning in February and it was like a light bulb moment that said to me to start the fashion week. And of course we started the fashion week with nothing. We built the marquee up so that we could get the height for the lighting, but it was a great success. And from there were a huge amount of trial and tribulations. It's not easy. That's why I completely appreciate you girls. I am with you. I am supporting you. I wish we could, meet, and now we can meet and discuss and learn from each other, because it's not easy, because you have to understand the dynamics of the designers and you have to see the big picture. Always see the big picture. If you don't see the big picture and you get stuck with the day-to-day running and the challenges of that happens or comes to you on a day-to-day basis, you will never reach 10 years. Never. You will give up in the first 2 years. But I saw the success and I really realized that if somebody doesn't do it, we will not have an industry in South Africa. We will not have a place where designers can be spotlighted. And the biggest challenge is really finding the sponsorship, finding people that believe in what you're doing. And I think you'll both agree with me. That is really the most important thing, because in a country it's only sport. I mean, now all of a sudden I feel that there's a change. Now that we've gone digital, I feel that we can reach a bigger audience, a more niche, an audience that really care, and not an audience that lives up to peer pressure like rugby. If the one man watches, or soccer, if the one man watches the soccer, all everybody must watch it. And fashion is different. So the sponsors can tap into people that really care about, number one, what they watch, what they look at, be responsible with what they put their eyeballs on, and really care. So I think that there's a shift. And a shift for me means a shift for all of us moving forward.
Absolutely, absolutely, and like you said, sponsorships. That's a whole. That is a segment in its own self.
Exactly.
To really allow even the sponsors to understand what they're attaching themselves to. Again, I will highlight the fact that we are $1 trillion, not a million, not a billion. We are $1 trillion industry. We contribute so much work opportunities, we contribute so much to our livelihoods, and sustainability in that we need to be taken seriously. But I know in Africa, it's so interesting how it's just like, oh, the people in fashion. Oh, you people, you're going to bring your models in. They're going to walk up and down, and then they're going to be great. And then they're going to strut through and walk away. And that's not just it. But like I said, with sponsors, that is a whole other different beast
Over.
to deal with.
Yeah, true.
I wanna ask you, both Mahalet and Lucila, and I'll start with you, Mahalet, and then Lucila, because Lucila, you already did your fashion week. What was um, some of the obstacles that you faced this year? We get it with the internet and everything, but what were some of the things that now you are paying attention to? You've been able to sit back, look at the Hub of Africa Fashion Week, where you sit, and now what are some of the things that you really want to incorporate for 2021? What are some of the things that have been highlighted? It's in your face. We've been faced with challenges, and so now what are some of the things that you've realized, and you're like, okay, we could do this, we could do better, we could.
Still searching that, actually. Still looking into it, and watching what everybody else is doing, with the digital. Like Lucilla said, you get a lot more audience, but I think that is something that we can do together with the event also happening. Then you can have more
Yeah,
reach. I think having
yeah,
the actual event is just as important, but then live streaming it, so that now you have the global, worldwide people watching it all over. I think that is a big opportunity. So I think this time has given us, for us to work about doing live streaming of shows. I'm not too crazy about, I came across a BBC or a CNN, I forgot, an interview this young lady did, where they're using avatar models. I don't know,
yeah,
Lucilla.
no,
Oh my God, yeah, that scares me.
no,
They
it
have
won't
replaced,
work.
they have replaced like real models with digital models, and they're actually using them for cover of for a lot of these big. That kind of scares me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. But they're saying that they still use real models for the action purpose of this digital model. So that is scaring me. The future.
Oh, Mahalet. Let me remove her and add her. There we go.
So while we're waiting for her, I can also just comment on
Yeah,
that. I
keep
don't
going.
think, fashion, one needs to feel passion. Passion is emotional. Passion is linked to cultural, emotional feelings. It brings out who you are, what you stand for. So I don't think that the virtual fashion will ever really take off. Of course, it's interesting. It's like watching a comic or being in a video game. But in reality, I don't believe that that is going to be the future of fashion. I think that we will go back to a mixture of digital and live. But I do think that we will be more responsible in doing our shows and focus more on working towards sustainability.
I actually I believe in that also, because one of the things that I really have wanted to really highlight, okay, I'm not against the whole digital platform. I get it. It's, we're in a safe space when we think about a digital platform. But at the same time, I'm I'm always thinking about what about the other guys who contribute to the fashion industry. And like you said, contribute to the sustainable livelihood, to that aspect. So my feel is always, are we going to be able to continue to create jobs for these young, and I'll just put it, the models who are out there, because they need the work, they don't need avatar work,
Yeah, no,
just to be,
absolutely.
we love, as much as we're saying right now, we're speaking to each other. We're online, but I can see your faces. It's not avatar faces. And I remember when I started my podcast, somebody said, Linda, I don't want to hear you, but I also want to see you. I want to see what their reactions are. If they're doing this and they're like, oh my God, Linda, we want to see it. We want to feel it. We want to somewhat attach an emotion to it. So, you know, just
Sorry
adding
about
to
that.
that whole avatar
Yeah, so that
situation.
was just to finish up on what you said. So I'm still looking into see there are a lot of opportunities to do things differently. I love the digital platform where we can live stream and you get a bigger audience. That maybe making the event a bit more, um, but more affordable for us organizers. So it has to find a way to sustain itself with sponsors, but also more than just sponsors. There's the ticket price and everything, and the designer's fee. Sometimes it covers it all as event organizer because we're just passionate about promoting the industry. I'm not personally a fashion designer. I just love the industry and I love to promote it. So sometimes it becomes very costly on us. People really don't realize it, and it is
Yeah.
a challenge still. Yeah, and I feel like everywhere else has it easy, even Lagos and South Africa, But here we're still struggling with it. But because we've been persistent and we've been pushing and continue to um, organize the events to give these designers the platform. I mean, it's really important. So yeah, we'll continue to do it and differently, and yeah, we'll be
Okay,
around.
so just as a word, Lucila and Mahalet, this question, whoever goes first, that's fine with me. But just a note of what our sponsors really need to know about why they need your support. Why don't I just put that out there? It was never in my itinerary of questioning, but what are some of the things you feel that they need to understand about the fashion industry and why sponsorship is important? I have my take, but I would really love for you guys to highlight why would they want to sponsor an event?
Well, I
Lucilla,
think
you start.
yeah. Well, I really think I specialize in sponsorship seriously, because I understand what brands need. I understand why they are linking themselves to fashion. And the brands that gets it, and the brands that understand that you're linking yourself to an event, or to an institution that that can open doors to you, an event that you can leverage. And that to me is what the brands don't understand, is the leveraging of the sponsorship. So it's one thing giving somebody money, but it's another thing taking that and taking ownership of that, and then amplifying that to work for you as a brand. So for instance, and for me, the biggest and the best example I can use is the Vodacom Red. I mean, they were absolutely incredible, because what they did is they leveraged fashion. They took they did what we could not do in a bigger and a better way. So they, for instance, did a Zoom virtual room where they brought in their top clients, and they delivered presents to them, and they treated them, and then within this room, or within this lounge, this VIP lounge, they brought in a celebrity, a person, and we had Maps Maponyane. I don't know if you know him. He is very, very much known, to host this, and they had people talking about fashion, a stylist, and influencer, and people like that, to talk about the fashion. So they showed the collections, and then there was a discussion, an intellectual discussion about, fashion, and how you apply it, how you buy it. And that to me was so incredibly valuable, not just for me as Fashion Week, but also for the people that watched it, because they participated. They sat in their beautiful homes, because obviously it was affluent people, so they had beautiful homes, and they had blankets, and it was exactly like that. What you were talking about, Linda, is getting the honesty through, getting the real reaction of people. So they were sitting in their lounges, and after each collection, they spoke about it. They felt comfortable to give their opinion, and all of a sudden there was an
Wow.
engagement with a label, the brand, and fashion. So it was like a whole collaboration. And then they followed that up with being at our pop-up shop. So you know what we do in South Africa? We show the collection, then we do the trade show and the pop-up shop, so that the designers can generate money to start their new collection. And at the pop-up shop, they invited 100 people each night, and they ran a competition where where they had 15 winners, and each winner had 4,000 rand to shop. So now they took their money, and they put their money where their mouths were, supporting the designers, and they had stylists helping the people to shop. Because you give
Wow.
somebody 4,000 rand, and they don't know what to buy, but the stylist help them. So that to me, that leveraging is incredibly important. And that is what I believe our sponsors are getting. They're starting to understand how to leverage that sponsorship.
That's
You know,
brilliant. I love that. I just caught the last bit of what she said, but this is where we can learn a lot from each other. See, whatever you've done, we can learn from that and see how we can also, all
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. I must attend one of these days for sure.
Yeah.
I will come. Yeah, yeah, but that's
And
brilliant.
we don't have to reinvent the wheel anymore. We can just learn
no.
from each other,
Yeah.
and the fact that I've been going for 23 years makes me no different than you two that have gone for 10 years. It's exactly the
Absolutely.
same. We are the same. We face the same problem. Our mission is the same. Our vision is the same.
Yeah,
So,
I love
No,
that.
I absolutely agree with that. One of the things that I was also thinking about, in terms of our sponsors is, you know, at the end of the day, everybody wants to associate storytelling. They want to understand the story of
Yes.
why, why am I wearing what I'm wearing? I'm just culturally appreciating. Um, I'm culturally appreciating the Indian version of something, and I really love it. It's at home. I feel elegant, but I'm still at home, and I feel very comfortable because I'm wearing a pair of tights below, so I can feel elegant and beautiful. But at the same time, what sponsors need to attach to is who the individuals are. you know some people like sweet red wine, some people like dry white wine, dry red wine. Why do they appreciate that? What is it? What is the storytelling behind it? Why should people even attach to a certain brand? When you get a telecommunication sponsor on board, what are they going to be contributing to? And you could decipher the whole storyline into it. That's one thing where I'm always just like, when you come in as a sponsor, understand even the brands that are associated with it, and why those brands are so necessary for them to even understand why a telecommunication company is even one of the largest sponsors. And I say this because it just comes to me just offhandedly. Verizon, MAC Cosmetics, when you look on the global platforms, in Africa, GT Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, these are people who we associate with. When we're making our transactions, we're like, oh, do you have Visa? Is it a StoneChat account? How do we swipe? How do we make our purchases? And number one, and the most important thing, we don't walk around naked. It is
We all wear
such,
something.
No,
it
exactly.
it is such a thing to just say, oh, you designers, you people in the fashion industry. I'm like, but you're wearing clothes, you're wearing underwear. You go specifically to get your CK underwear, you go specifically to get your Victoria's Secret, and then there's the African brands, you know, that people borrow so much from. They borrow print, they borrow tradition, they borrow stories. Yeah, we have them. So I'm going to get into our next line of question. Ladies, our designers in Africa, what do they deserve? What do you think that they deserve? When I was thinking about you both, and I said the leading ladies of Africa and curating fashion weeks in Africa, how do we have an all-inclusive experience in African fashion and African fashion design?
You want to
We're
go,
still,
Manu? You go, Manu.
I'm digesting the question. So, an all-inclusive fashion within Africa. So, inclusive now is used in different terms, inclusive in a sense, at least here in Ethiopia, we've done inclusive and including different models, different size models, and making it inclusive that way. It's not just about skinny. You want to see whatever on the runway, you love it, but then it has to be realistic. Will that look good on me? That part of it has to be more inclusive in that sense, that the fashion industry is for all size, for all people, and then which includes disability. That's inclusive in that sense. I think is what we've been working on, and we've featured. We've worked with an inclusive fashion show twice in the past, and where we worked with a lot of disabled models to create awareness that they're just as important. So inclusive in that sense is important. I hope that answers your question, and I'll give the floor to Lucilla as well.
Yeah, for me, inclusivity is to include everything, collaborate, include. We are very lucky in South Africa that we have a complete diverse society, which is really our strength, because you see that it comes out. Each designer interprets their own culture. So to me, that is what it means. Over and above what you said, Malet, it also includes all the different culture groups in South Africa. Um, yeah, just opening it and collaborating, allowing people to, or inspiring people to collaborate with artists, to collaborate with our natural fibers, we guess, companies that are busy developing our natural fibers. As you know, we've got mohair. We are collaborating with Cape Mohair and with the SA Mohair cluster with Cape Wool SA. So those collaborations for me is also part of that the including of the whole value chain, and also, you talk about the manufacturers, the printers. Now with digital, they can all view the collections that they played a part in. It is now not just for the few people that are sitting in the front row, which is really also fantastic. So yes, for me, um, that is what it means, an all-inclusive experience means. Um, it's just become wider now. The net is we're casting a wider net. We're reaching more people. Our footprint is bigger, so we can achieve more quicker.
I love
I love
that.
that. Yeah, me too.
I think it's such a beautiful it's such a beautiful statement, in terms of where we're going, and how we need to be presented. Let's talk about manufacturing in Africa. I mean, like, I see the growth of manufacturing within our industries. It's expanding. For sure, we have, when we speak about that $1 trillion industry, it's 100% we have that lock and key. My question is, whenever it comes to African fashion designers, it is such a hard space to actually be present. And I say this in the African space because fashion designers in Kenya, fashion designers in Tanzania, I know many who are based in in Europe as well as the States, are always just like, man, it's so expensive for me to even come in and produce in Africa. Yet we have the platforms to create, and to create jobs and sustainability, but we also have the platform that allows for us to really thrive. When I'm talking about brands really growing within the African industry, because the ones that thrive usually have a really significant amount of backing. What do you guys feel about the manufacturing industry? And I'm throwing it out there. In Kenya, I think we could do more. We need to lower. There's so many things that need to be lowered. We need to lower our tariff barriers continentally. And I say this is a reason why I love having you, Lucila. I love having you, Mahalet, because we need to speak up on this, to promote more of our fashion African designers. We need more streetwear, we need more loungewear, we need more lingerie, we need more chic, we need more, but people cannot afford to manufacture in Africa. But yet, we are the go-to space for the larger brands. What do you guys think? I mean, like, I want your thoughts on the manufacturing industry. I've given you my thoughts, but what are your thoughts on the manufacturing industry?
Who must speak first?
Okay. A very good question, Linda. I think Africa, like you said, it is not an easy business to start, but for a lot of we have to start producing more locally, you know, and instead of importing, the manufacturing sector within Africa needs to be a lot more than it is now, for sure. But not to take away from the designers. You know, we have institutions here in Ethiopia. There's the Bahar Dar University, which is a 4-year proper course on merchandising, pattern, you name it, you know, on textile design and everything. But now we have to start thinking of doing manufacturing for local as well, instead of importing local, you know, whether it's from China, from whatever, it doesn't matter, you know, but we need to start doing more manufacturing. Like you said, all the big brands are coming now to of Africa all of a sudden is attractive for cheap labor for the big brands to come and produce. But then how can they also collaborate, maybe to start, like you said, it is expensive for local businesses to start locally, but maybe they can collaborate, maybe they can be they can do some what do you call it, capacity building, so they can see how it works. You know, they have to give back as well. You don't, you know, yes, they're creating thousands and thousands of jobs in Ethiopia for a lot of these young women and whatnot, which is really great. The government has worked really hard to attract a lot of investors, but if they can also try to find a way for other companies to start opening that type of for local consumption, you know what I mean? So that needs to grow for sure, for domestic manufacturing and for the domestic industry as opposed to importing. So there's a lot of work to be done, I think, on that aspect. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great what you've said.
Thank you,
Lucina?
Mahalik. From my side, in South Africa, the way I see it is that we have got two different levels of manufacturing. So we have the manufacturers that manufacture for the mass market, and they are fantastic. They have been in business for years, and they supply mainly departmental stores, and the sort of bigger retail chains. And it's very difficult. It's been very difficult for the designers to tap into that for for more than one reason. One of the reasons is that those manufacturers that have been creating for the mass markets, and I'm talking retail at sort of an affordable price. Um, those those manufacturers cannot manufacture designer clothes, because to manufacture a designer garment, you need more knowledge. It is not the usual just sewing, cutting and sewing. There's detail on. It needs somebody that knows. So from our experience, um, that of course is a completely different manufacturer, and that is what the challenge has been for the designers in South Africa. So what they've done, and you know, it's all about demand and supply. If the designers are selling to boutiques, because that is what our aim is at Fashion Week, is to build the designers so that they can supply the boutiques. And that is also why when we show designers, they have to supply boutiques. Because if you don't have a designer that are supplying the boutiques, you're building an ego. You're building somebody coming down the runway saying, I'm cool, I'm here, you know, clap for me, it's me, it's all about me. And for us at the South African Fashion Week, it's more about the business of fashion. So what has happened is that these designers, because they could not tap into these manufacturers, started their own manufacturing um, groups. And that has really grown. And for me, that is the positivity about COVID, is that they had to now tap even more into their local group, their local suppliers that can start making for them. They had to forge real, authentic and honest bonds with them. And we don't have that. The manufacturing costs more because our designers are paying the right prices. They are sustainable on that level. You know, they are adhering to, they're listening to the people that are making for them. They are almost their family, so they care about them and they pay them the right amount of money. So, and that is what really inspires me, is to see that these designers are can actually do without these bigger manufacturers. But now these bigger manufacturers were forced or are forced to look at what the designers are doing, because they can't export, they can't mass manufacture anymore, because there's nobody that's buying that junk anymore. People are
Absolutely.
starting, yeah, people are starting to look at something that they can identify with, something that can last them beyond this next sort of trend, so to speak, something classical. And I think that is going to save us, and that is going, that to me is very exciting moving forward in this space.
I feel like it's also,
Absolutely
you know,
agree.
I feel like it's
Just wanted to add on what she said,
absolute.
Linda. No, no, no. It's absolutely true. The manufacturing sector on the bigger scale, I think this is the universe is telling the sector to kind of slow down. I mean, they suffered a lot. You hear all the major, because I grew up in the US, I know what the consumption and
Yeah,
the fast fashion has done to the industry. So the universe is saying slow down, which gives the designers, like she said, a big, big opportunity, you know? So, yeah, it's a good thing in a way, you know, that things
absolutely,
are slowing down a little bit.
absolutely.
Slow fashion,
Yes,
you know, where everybody now is thinking about sustainable wear. Why would I buy your brand? Why? What does it do for me? You know, it's no
exactly.
longer about, you know, everybody has to take into consideration that, listen, jobs were out there, but now you're like, you have to push back and you have to say, why would I buy that little black dress? What does a little black dress bring to the table? You know, it has to have a meaning. You know, it had a meaning, but now we're really recognizing the meaning. We want to be able to go to work with it. We want to be able to go to a cocktail with it. We want to be able to go for a big dinner function with it. We want to be able to do our everyday errands with it. We just want to be really clever about what we're buying right now. And, you know, again, consumers right now, you know, for any designer that would even listen in, is consumers have you. You know, everything now depends on the language you're speaking. And that language that you're speaking also translates into where you're manufacturing and how you're manufacturing, and for the numbers, because now you have to go back to your budget to really think about who are your clientele, right? So I don't know. I feel like there's, oh my gosh, we could do a chat like for 2 days, and we would never end in the business of fashion. And I like the business of fashion. Lucilla, you said that, and one of the things I do need to say is in 2009, when Mahalet walked up to me and she was like, let's do a fashion week. I think it's relevant. This is the time, you know, to do a fashion week. I remember we went back and forth, and one of the things that we said, where is the business of fashion? And we started really digging deep and trying to understand where our African market lay. And we still, you know, 10 years later, we still there's a lot of work to be done within the continent. One of the major things that I would really love to ask you guys is, how do we disrupt the industry? You know, we've spoken about the manufacturing industry. I feel like, let me say this, before I even get to how do we disrupt the industry, but our governments need to know that when we do these fashion weeks, we're not doing it to play games and to look cute. We're doing it to contribute to an economy. and to $1 trillion economy. I saw the last article in the Business of Fashion. It's an $1 trillion economy. Africa being one of the key leaders in production and manufacturing. It used to be China, it used to be India, but we are it. And by the way, Mahalet, well done. You know, Ethiopia is doing all these things, although you have to look into the back end of things. I'm not going to talk about that right now because we just want to celebrate Ethiopia for what it is and the contribution. South Africa used to be there. I think that something got lost along the way in terms of production. I feel like there needs to be a rise up. I'm doing the movie thing. I'm like, there needs to be a giddy up, you know, in South Africa, because you used to be there, as well as Kenya. We used to be there, and something fell off the bandwagon, and obviously China and India took it. And now we're back to Africa. So we need to fight for a space where we can also take care of our fashion designers in producing here and making it optimal for them. Now, when I say how do we disrupt the industry, I am about to say something completely. Marlet knows where my head is. I'm just like, let us just do something completely obnoxious. But we're the inspiration. Lucila, you get that, right? We are the inspiration. We inspire brands like Burberry. We inspire brands like who did the jackets that were inspired by Mahalet, that were inspired by Alexander McQueen, you know, that were inspired by the matrimonial ceremonies that men would wear, you know, with all the embroidery and, you know, with the little top collar. You know, I say we inspire so much. Why don't you come to Africa? How do we disrupt this industry? I really want to know, how do we disrupt this industry?
So
there has to be a disruption.
I don't think that we as individuals can. I think we've disrupted it enough by just doing what we're doing. I do think that the disruption needs to come from the designers, because they are the ones that are going to change the fashion in South Africa. We give them a platform, and we give them inspiration, and we give them that visibility, and we help them to build their brands. But they have to come to the party. They have to understand that they have to build their businesses. And it really is, again, back to that demand and supply. If they create desirable clothes that are made with perfection to fit the international body and the African body and anybody for that matter, if they can create desirable fabric, fashion that's luxury, soft on the body, beautiful to wear, luxury in an African way, that to me is a step forward. And that to me is what will make the world look at us. And not just, of course, the world will always be inspired by us, but our biggest challenge is that we don't come to the party. Essentially, there are a few designers that are jumping out and that are sort of hitting, doing incredible things and building their businesses. We want designers that are successful. We want to build designers that everybody in South Africa wants to buy. I think we should start in our own countries and build our own countries' designers so that they eventually by themselves grow into Ethiopia or into Kenya or into Nigeria or into Paris. I somehow don't think we as individuals and Fashion Week has the power to disrupt fashion, so to speak. I don't know what you think, Linda. How do you think we can disrupt the industry?
Can I I'll add on to that. She's right. The designers, but more than the designers, the consumers. I think the only way that designers can thrive is if they have the customers. So we have to really promote, especially like you said, if we go locally, for Ethiopians to be proud to wear made in Ethiopia. And I think a lot of Ethiopians, if you know, with Ethiopian design, it used to be very delicate. You can really only wear it on occasions. But now the young and up and coming designers are building more everyday everyday wear. Yes. So now you can go to their stores and buy something you can wear at work, at school, or whatever. So the only way we can start disrupting the industry is start wearing made in Africa, made in Ethiopia, made in South Africa. You know, let's leave the big brands from the US and the Europe. I think that way, if we really promote, because without the customers, the designers are, you know, and the designers have to make it affordable too. I notice, you know, a lot of, maybe it's the way it's made, it's handmade, I get it. The reason a lot of consumers are more keen to shop at, I don't want to quote names, but you know, the big department stores is because you can buy stuff for $20 and still look good, you know, $40, $50. But then you come to designers' outfits and then it's like buying a Gucci, but it's with an African designer for like $200-$300, right? So if you want the mass of your own people to wear your stuff, then you need to make maybe another line, like Donna Karen has made. She has a luxury brand, and then she has a brand for, you know, the average or whatever, for people that can afford it. So the designers have a lot of work to do to disrupt the industry, and we need to keep promoting for Africans to wear African and promote that. You know, I think we can disrupt it with that. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Now, I agree with you, Malika. I absolutely agree with you. And I do believe that if the designers create something that is desirable, people in the country will buy it. They will definitely buy it. And it doesn't have to be cheap. But what is really important in the design process is pricing. And that is like a formula. You know, it is a design. The designers thumbsuck the prices of their garments. It's not done according to a formula, and they really need to understand that pricing formula if they want to do retail.
I absolutely agree with you both. I mean, like how you know, when I go back and I think about it, I'm just like, you know, there's been a huge push to made in Kenya brands that has happened, and I want to say in the last 2 to 3 years, but 2 years. Let me just maximize on the 2 years, you know. But also, I really love to know why I'm buying my made in Kenya brand, because I'm a little bit more clued in, you know, as a buyer. If I'm going to pay $150, I really want to know why I'm paying that $150. If I'm paying $20, you know, I understand it. But again, anyway, I feel like for the $20 range, we're not there yet because, you know, our electricity prices, our sourcing prices, and I say sourcing fabrics within Africa, and okay, wait a second. Let me take that and let me speak for Kenya. Our sourcing of fabric, we have amazing industries that are doing this. Tushaka Textiles out here, but then again, it's not the cheapest to source. It's not the cheapest to produce. It's not the cheapest to then buy. So what would be considered as a minimum price? You know, when you're going to the Gap and you're getting a t-shirt you're getting a cotton tee for $7 is not what it would cost here, 700 shillings. That for me is, you know, I don't know how to translate that, but it's not something for us guys that we can do. and I'm still yet to find brands that will, where I can go and find a t-shirt for 700 shillings and it's custom made and made for the local market where we can really appreciate the made in Kenya. But again, that's just me. I'm sitting out here in Kenya. There will be people, and you can comment below. You can tell me different ideas, different theories and concepts and the works. But I don't see it. I don't see it happening in our toy markets. I don't see it happening in, in the markets where everybody goes in bargain shops. We don't have that bargain shop. A bargain shop for me is what we had in the States, Mahalit, Lucilla. It's where you walk in and you buy a t-shirt for $5 and you're just like, I got a deal. My thing is I don't find the deals.
Yeah.
But
So
go ahead, Lucille.
yeah, so can I just say, when a designer designs a collection, the designer needs to keep their consumer in mind, and they have to decide what is their target market, and then they have to design pieces that that people can buy if they just want to spend X amount of money, and if they've got a little bit more, how do they spend? What do they spend? A designer needs to think that my consumer, what do they wear in the morning? What do they wear for lunch? What do they wear for dinner? What do they wear in the evening? And they have to design a collection to that, and they can bring in a tea. And the tea doesn't have to be as cheap as what it is in a departmental store where everything is manufactured with sort of like forced labor or irresponsible. It can be at a reasonable price. And if you build that, you will build that consumer that will start following the designers, because the designers all have incredible followers that are incredibly loyal. But the designers don't understand that they have to create a selection of items that is some more reasonable than others. So that, and also, of course, homeware is becoming a very big thing. Designers can tap into that so that somebody can buy something much cheaper if they want to follow you. And next time, as they get a bit more affluent, they can buy something more expensive. And one day when they're grown up, they can buy something that is your couture collection. So you need to grow your consumers with your brand.
Totally agree. Just want to add on how, going back to how do we disrupt and how we can really take advantage of is the Africa free trade area that's happening is going to give us a lot of opportunity to work within Africa to build the Made in Africa. So I think that's a big platform for us to really tap into and see how we can build on that. And really, maybe I want to, instead of importing from other parts or whatever, I want to import fabric from South Africa or designers' collections and stuff from South Africa as opposed to from China or elsewhere.
Exactly.
So this is really a big advantage that we have now with the Africa free trade area. I think it's definitely one of the ways we can disrupt the industry within Africa.
Yeah.
Well in. Talk to me right now, ladies, about how you feel that support is needed within the industry. Where do you guys see that within South Africa, within Ethiopia, where do you guys feel, and just look at Africa as a whole, where do you guys feel like support is needed for the industry to really thrive?
Malik, you want to go first?
Yes, sure. This is in regards to the designers. I wish I had at least one or two of the designers because they can tell their story, their challenges. Me and Lucilla, we kind of create the platform for them. But I know for most of them to grow their brand, what sets them back is finance. So they need to have more support, maybe from the financial institutions, to kind of build and scale up their businesses. I know that's where if you speak to all of them, I'm sure it's usually the financial aspect that really sets them back in so many ways. So if someone can inject, the thing is, a lot of the designers, and I'm sure Lucilla agrees with me, through a lot of NGO or donor supports, some businesses, especially now during pandemic, I've seen a few designers that thrive because they were able to get a MasterCard Foundation, some kind of funding. So I've seen how they were able to really take up a notch of their business. So definitely a little finance will help them hire more people, a bigger space, their workshop, more machines. So they need that kind of support to grow their business, I think.
Okay. Lucilla, what are your
Thank you.
thoughts?
Yes, Maleta, I think you're right, but I think from my point of view, the most important thing is that we need the creative fashion design industry in our countries must be recognized by the government. And until our governments realize the power of fashion, we will not move forward, because if you look at Australia started the same time as what I started. And look where they are standing today. Why? Because the government supports the whole industry. The full value chain has been developed. If you look at Italy, the Made in Italy brand was completely initiated by the government, not by three women that are now fighting against all odds to do what they know will take the country forward, and that is the core. We need our governments to see the power of fashion, and they don't. We all use fashion. It's an integral part of our business, of our lives. We don't all have cell phones. We don't all have cars. We don't all have televisions, but we all wear clothes. And what I say, we use fashion. Sorry if I get very passionate about this, because it is the truth. We all wear fashion. We use fashion like we use electricity. We cannot live without it, but we do not realize the power of it. They don't realize the power.
No, they don't. I mean, like,
I absolutely agree with you.
we honestly, like the part that, and I said it actually in the beginning, if you can recall it, we all wear garment. We don't walk around naked.
Exactly.
We are an integral part of society, and we need to be taken a little bit more seriously. Now, actually, not even a little, a lot more seriously. Part of your campaigns need to tell us how you're going to clothe and feed people. And part of that feeding program comes with creating job opportunities. Job opportunities come from supporting your designers, to manufacturing, to cotton milling, your farmers. It's a full value chain, and we must just really recognize that and embrace it.
Yeah.
In South Africa, the designers contribute 800 million rand per annum to the GDP of this country, and they are not recognized. They are not recognized. It's an industry we built in 23 years, and we are not recognized.
And Lucilla, you know the reason why, because we will sit back and we'll say, "Oh, you people within the fashion industry, you people who are like, you're trying to make yourselves look like we're trying to make things like all glitz and glamour." No, there's so many contributors to this industry.
Yeah, so for the government here in Ethiopia, I can speak about Ethiopia. One thing that has changed, and I've seen the support like you said, it was never taken seriously. Whenever you talk about fashion show, which I really hate the word even using fashion show, because
Exactly.
it's the misconception. It's about models, pretty. No, it's more than that. But what changed?
Oh, we lost her again. Okay, no, but she's gonna come back.
Yeah, so
I
while she's
presume that
not
she's gonna
there,
remove herself,
I
but
can
I
say
hear her.
we're all speaking the same language. We are all
Yes.
saying this. And can I tell you something? If you speak to every person that runs a fashion week on the level that we run it on, they are saying the same thing. All the Commonwealth
Absolutely.
fashion weeks are all saying the same thing, you know. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
Lucila, what do you think that I'm sure Mahalet is gonna get out and then come back in, but I
I'm
really
back.
want to ask.
There
Here
she
you
is.
are.
I'm back
Mi
in
amor.
the next.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this finish was saying that what I've seen change in the last 10 years in Ethiopia is there's a strong association now, the Ethiopian Fashion Designers Association. So instead of individuals, they've managed to get Ministry of Trade and Industry to recognize them. So supporting them in many different ways. But like Lucilla said, the government has to work a bit more
Exactly.
harder to support the industry. No, no question about it. I agree. But the association, having an association, helped a little bit elevate at least these designers for sure. Because now they have one voice for that represents them through the association. So it does make a difference, but still a long way to go for sure.
Do you guys have a fashion council? Mahalet, Lucila, do you guys have a fashion council?
No.
Lucila, I think you guys do. Yeah.
I think there's a fashion council in Cape Town, maybe. I'm not sure, but we don't have a fashion council that sort of
So
is like the British Fashion Council or the Australian Fashion Council or the Russian Fashion Council. We don't have that. No.
the reason why I did not include the Kenya Fashion Council on this podcast is also because I felt, and don't kill me, my Kenyan people, I just felt like it's really good to understand that we now have a fashion council in Kenya and the power of a fashion council and what it breeds and what it means and why it should be there is to support all the elements that Lucila and Mahalet have basically echoed. Support for designers, support for, through even sponsorships and allowing sponsors to understand what that means, messages to be carried on that element and that platform. Okay, so ladies, I do need to ask you, what are your final thoughts in terms of where we need to go, and let's keep it to a minute each.
Okay, I'll go first. So I think that our mission in moving into 2021 is to really focus on building the South African designers, a smaller group of designers, but really focusing on that relationship, building that relationship with them, supporting them, and then getting their labels out there, not just to South Africa, into South Africa, but also into Africa, because actually Africa is where we should all be trading before we go to Europe and before we look at abroad. So that is really what we are doing. We're going to build our followers. We're going to build we're going to increase our share of voice. We're going to increase our digital footprint, and we're going to just love it. Fashion is magical. Fashion brings life. So I'm going to try in 2021 to make everybody, all the designers, enjoy and love what they are doing, and yeah, just creating business at the same time.
I love that. I really love what you've said. Mahalet?
Yeah, 2021. Yeah, more, but looking forward to maybe even more collaborations and really also work on to see building the local industry, see where the designers are at. We haven't really engaged with most of the designers, so I would love to really engage with them and see what their challenges were, and together with the designers, create a better platform for them in 2021. Because at the end of the day, we do our events trying to give them the insight, the really roots of it, of their challenges and their success stories. They're the ones that know it. So I would like to see myself engage more with the designers and include them in the program and see how we can build the industry together with them.
Yeah.
I really love what you ladies have brought to the table. Like I said, we could go a whole day. We could build workshops together. Actually, the Core Fashion Kenya is going to build a workshop, and I would love for both of you to be mentors for that platform. But other than that, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your insight. I've never gone over an hour with my podcast. This is at an hour 20, which means that we haven't even covered the base. We could, if we were to peel this onion, it would be crazy. But I really appreciate your time, Lucila. Thank you so much, Mahalit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
I am honored by you guys, and I'm gonna put you guys to task, and I'm gonna request that we do a collaborative initiative for 2021, because we need to show people how this is done in Africa as a whole, and hoping that Omiyemi from Lagos will hear us, and we're sending you love, and fortunately you can join us. But this is a love that we're spreading. We have a future of 2021, and we're going to support the creatives within the fashion industry. So just showing my love to you guys, and thank you so much for being on my podcast. You guys are amazing.
Very nice. Thank you very, very much to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sending love and light, and maybe conquer and create more opportunities in 2021. Wishing you guys a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Same to everybody.
Same.
All right.
Thank you. Be happy.
Be happy. I love that. Yes, let's be happy, people.